The osteon is usually referred to as the functional unit of bone because an osteon, whether it be in compact bone or spongy bone, it's the smallest functional structure that still represents all of the abilities of the skeletal system as a whole. Think of an osteon like the columns or the pillars that support the front of a house. These columns or pillars can support the roof or the porch, but if a car were to run into one of them, it would just crumble horrendously. And that's because the pillar, just like the osteons in your compact bone, are only capable of taking stress in one direction. Pretty much. The random orientation of the trabeculae, or trusses, in spongy bone allows it to take stress in all directions. Osteons are made up of sheets of bone surrounding a central canal in which an artery, vein, and nerve are found, right? Artery, vein, nerve. And this means that bone tissue is vascularized and innervated. And this is why when you break a bone, it hurts and it bleeds, makes a hematoma. Let's look at the layers of what are called concentric lamella. And that's what these are. The word lamella, or actually this is lamellae, this is plural, and it just means sheet. Each concentric lamella, which is a lamella that surrounds the central canal, has collagen fibers running in different directions. And I can draw the ones for you here. They would look like this. This is what gives an osteon its incredible ability to take stress in one direction. It also allows the osteon to kind of like twist a little bit to take some of that stress. What happens is that the concentric lamella, they make these little sacrificial bonds between them. So when a bone is subjected to its directional force, these bonds get broken and the concentric lamella twist in alternate directions, locking them into place and being able to take such force in one direction. And this is sometimes referred to as the twister resistor. The histological picture down here on the right is a top-down picture. So it's almost as though we've cut bone and we're looking at, like, we've cut an osteon like here, and we're looking top down into the compact bone tissue. The darkened middle of each of these bullseyes is the central canal. And it's these central canals that carry the arteries, veins, and nerves. You can even see the concentric lamella that make up each osteon, right? You can kind of see this one right here. There's another one right here. There seems to be one that's kind of smushed out here. Between the concentric lamella are osteocytes that have been trapped in holes that we call lacuna or lacunae. So each one of these little dark things here are osteocytes in lacuna. Because these are living cells, they need to receive glucose and oxygen being brought to the bone tissue by the artery. They also need to utilize the veins to carry away products of cellular respiration, like carbon dioxide. In order for that to happen, there are these tiny little canals that run through each of these concentric lamella. And they look like, do you see them? They are ever so slight. They look like little spikes running through each osteon on this picture. These little tiny canals are called canaliculi, which literally means little canal. These little canals make an interconnecting highway along which fluids and other substances like oxygen can flow to the arteries, or can flow from the arteries to each individual osteocyte, or to the osteocyte to the vein in the central canal. Your skeleton is comprised mostly of spongy bone, not compact bone, right? You would think, like, you're like, oh, compact is stronger. I must be. No, you're not. If your skeleton were composed of compact bone, it would weigh too much, and your muscles would have to be enormous in order to move the bones. So spongy bone serves to lighten the skeleton while still providing it with strength and support. Much like the supports of a bridge spanning a river. So here's a bridge, and here are the supports, and here's my flowing river right here. So much like the supports or trusses that support a bridge spanning a river, spongy bone also has structures that are called trabeculae, which are very similar to the structural trusses that support bridges. Trabeculae are curving structures of sheets of layers of bone, right? So they're curving. They're not just up and down. This structure right here, which has sheets and cells in between it, is a curving structure. Because these trabeculae are found in spongy bone in almost infinite orientations, spongy bone can take stress from all directions, making it quite superior to the compact bone, which is only able to withstand force in one direction. I want to mention here that this is the compact bone that we call the bone collar. And so every bone has an outside collar of compact bone, but every bone has an inside juicy filling of spongy bone. And this is how you maintain the strength, but also lighten the skull.